Hi, Jakub of Heaps Agency here. There have been some reports that Valve has been targeting and taking down games with AI-generated content. As you may imagine, this made a lot of people nervous about using the new technology in their workflow. However, there's more to the topic, and to fully understand what's going on, let's delve a bit deeper into it. Before we get to do that, you are watching a clip from Heaps Agency, a company that specializes in video games marketing and social media. If you'd like to learn more about marketing and the business side of the gaming industry, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to hire us, write a message to Jakub at heapsagency.com and let's have a chat. Now, back to the topic. To keep the long story short and to give you a quick conclusion, Valve hasn't banned games made with the help of an AI. It is asked to remove AI-made content, and if they wouldn't comply, threatened to ban titles that used AI-generated graphical assets. It boils down to third-party intellectual property rights. It's time for a longer version now. A number of developers in Steam got messages like the one that I'm about to quote. While we strive to ship most titles submitted to us, we cannot ship games for which the developer does not have all of the necessary rights. After reviewing, we have identified intellectual property in game name here, which appears to belong to one or more third parties. In particular, game name here contains art assets generated by artificial intelligence that appears to be relying on copyrighted material owned by third parties. As the legal ownership of such AI-generated art is unclear, we cannot ship your game while it contains these AI-generated assets, unless you can affirmatively confirm that you own the rights to all of the IP used in the dataset that trained the AI to create the assets in a game. We are failing your build, and we will give you one opportunity to remove all content that you do not have the rights to from your build. If you fail to remove all such content, we will not be able to ship your game on Steam, and this app will be banned. This requires a small explanation of how current AIs work. They need to analyze a database of some sort. For an AI that generates images, it would be pictures. And this is where the problem lies. As the laws regarding the relationship between artificial intelligence and man-made content are not yet made specific, we need to use the general law that regulates the matters regarding intellectual property. And these, for the most part, and of course depending on the license they were shared under, don't allow to use images made by third persons to be used for commercial purposes. While there may be counter-arguments made that the AI doesn't necessarily use specific artworks themselves, and that it still creates something new based on the works it used to learn, well, the whole situation is far from concrete and set in stone. This means that Valve, an industry giant, minimizes the chances of things going awry, including bad press and even lawsuits. After all, they would be providing infrastructure for and would financially benefit from selling titles that could possibly infringe someone's IP rights. What could be done about that? I have come up with three most obvious scenarios. The first one is to comply and remove the assets from the game and replace them with human-made ones. While it would definitely take time and increase the cost of development, you'd have the title compliant with the demands, you'd definitely own the entirety of it, and you could also opt for a more consistent art direction and designs. This model is still the standard in the industry, and it's the obvious solution to the problem. The second one is to take the game off of Steam. There are other marketplaces and platforms you can sell your game at. Epic Game Store, GOG, itch.io, and your own website are the first ones that come to mind. While it kind of solves the issue, we would advise against it. The problem with this method is that you get rid of most likely the most effective revenue stream you can have in the world of PC gaming, even after they take their cut. The elephant in the room, though, is whether these other platforms will maintain their stance on the topic. If not, then they will follow in the footsteps of Steam, and that would mean that your game would be rendered unshippable. The third one, the most outlandish one, is to either build or use a generative AI model that uses content that is allowed to be commercially used. I'm not entirely sure if such a solution even exists at the moment. If not, then building one would be a good business idea. I'd do that if I knew how and had money. There are some risks with it though. It would be hard to build a proper database and train the AI. After all, gathering the amount of content that would allow for having it be an effective tool would be staggering. Hundreds if not thousands of gigabytes of data would have to be analyzed. Also, you would need to have the API of a proper AI, and that's likely another can of worms. Not to mention possible user-provided content that could possibly infringe on the rights of third parties. However, it would be compliant with Valve's demands. After a short consideration, the first solution, to hire a graphic designer and replace the assets with man-made ones, seems like the most sensible course of action to take for the vast majority of developers. But yeah, the bottom of it is that Valve hasn't banned the use of AI. Quite contrarily, they issued this statement. We know it is a constantly evolving tech, and our goal is not to discourage the use of it on Steam. Instead, we are working through how to integrate it into our already existing review policies. Stated plainly, our review process is a reflection of current copyright law and policies, not an added layer of our opinion. As these laws and policies evolve over time, so will our process. Thank you for watching this short clip. More will come soon. Make sure to subscribe, and remember, if you have any topics regarding video games marketing or social media marketing in general, Heaps Agency is at your disposal. Contact details are in the description below. Cheers.